Hello and welcome back to Gapeys Grow Room. This week I thought I would go over a lot of the tools and supplies that I use in my grow room and for seed starting. I've collected quite a few trays and other things over the years, and some things are working out better than others. I have some definite favorites and some seed starting supplies that I use more than others. So I thought I would give you a little tour of that and maybe give you some ideas of things you might want to get for your grow room or for seed starting in general. So here are the grow shelves. This is just a standard shelves that you can find at just about any hardware store. I think we got them maybe at Lowe's. And then for lighting in the grow room, I've got quite a big variety of things. So let's see, all the shelves that are on this particular rack are all T8 fluorescent shop lights. They're getting kind of hard to find bulbs for, but I've been able to find some on Amazon. So I kind of stocked up, and that's pretty much all the lighting that we've got over there. There's several different fixtures that we have just because I got them from different places. But that's that set up. And then this rack over here, I've got a few different lights. This is basically my LED light rack. We've got a Spider Farmer SF1000, I believe, here. I've got a Mars Hydro TS1000 as well, but I'm not currently using it. And then the lighting at the bottom down here is the Mars Hydro VG80s. So these are similar to shop lights. I seem to be able to have two of these fit one shelf, which is really helpful. I can fit a full 4 1020 trays of starts under these lights, whereas when I'm using the shop lights here, I can't do a full tray of starts because the light starts going outside of the tray. So I can only fill these about 3/4 full of starts. So I could fit more starts in here, but because the light doesn't cover it, I can't do that. So there's a little bit of wasted space here on these racks. So I just prefer using these Mars Hydro ones here because it's just got a lot better light coverage and I could fit a lot more plants under there. As for potting mixes, I really like Pro Mix. This is the garden mix organic from Walmart. I can usually get it pretty easily, and if it's not in stock, I can usually order it online. But this has worked really well for me. It's a very fine mix. You can actually use it for seed starting if you wanted to. But for seed starting, I primarily use this Jiffy seed starting mix. That's my favorite for seed starting. And also this Pro Mix, it does not really have any nutrients in it, so if I'm using it for potting up seedlings or starts, then I will add a little bit of extra fertilizer. And my go-to for that is this Ivy Organics All-Purpose. I've got a discount code for that if you want to check the description of the video in case you're interested in that. And then also to the Pro Mix, I've been adding a little bit of this Sunshine Mix number 4 potting soil. I tried this last year and I was not happy with it at all. I had a hard time finding Pro Mix last year, and so I thought I'd give this a try, but I just was not happy with the performance, and I did a review of it last year, and if you want to check that out, if you haven't already, but it just did not work well for me at all. So adding just a little bit of it to the Pro Mix seems to be okay, but it's going to take me a long time to get through this whole bag. Also, I've been adding a little bit of coarse perlite to the potting mix just to help with the drainage, because this particular Pro Mix doesn't have a whole lot of perlite. Some of the other ones, like the HP Pro Mix, has more perlite, so that just kind of helps a little bit. But I mean, you can see how fluffy that is. It works really well. Another fertilizer I'm trying out for the first time this year is called Organic Rev, and I've been hearing a lot about this from a friend of mine on Instagram, and he's really happy with it, so I thought I'd give it a try. I think I got this possibly for free as a trial. I can't remember, but it's a fairly small bottle, so I might have to order some more. I've just been adding a little bit of this to the water maybe every other week or so, just a few drops, and it seems to be working pretty well. Back to the grow shelf here. This is my favorite watering can in the grow room. I got this from Ferry Morse last year, and it's got this really nice spout on it, and it just makes watering so much easier. I've been using it pretty much every day because these things seem to be drying out super fast. And so it gets a lot of use. It's pretty good size, but I have to refill it a few times for each watering because I have so many plants. Now for plant labels, I really like this huge roll that I got from Greenhouse Megastore, and I use a pencil to write on the labels. That seems to last. It doesn't like wash off in the rain or anything. And at the end of the season, if it's not in too bad of shape, I'll just use an eraser and reuse them again the next year. But this is probably, I don't know, I've already used quite a bit of it. It's probably over 1,000 labels in this roll. So really nice. Now, these are some of the bigger appliances or tools in the grow room. I've got this oscillating fan. I usually only run it during the day and I put it on low speed and then I have it on the oscillating setting, and it will cover basically the bottom 2 shelves of each of these. It has pretty good coverage. The only shelf it isn't able to reach is that top shelf there, so there's no really fan blowing on that top shelf. I do have some other fans here. I've got a pile of stuff over here. But I've got a few fans I could probably set up and just get some extra airflow up on this top shelf. So I might do that here pretty soon. But I do have a dehumidifier as well. So if we look over here, I've got this Frigidaire dehumidifier that I run, and I think right now it's set to 55% humidity. And this tub down here, which holds quite a bit, fills up about, I don't know, every 3 or 4 days, I think. But I have it turned off right now because it's kind of loud. But I think that really, really helps in the grow room. Without that, I think the humidity in here would probably be like 75% or higher. So that helps a lot. And it also helps keep the soil on top of the seedlings from getting too wet and causing damping off disease. So I have to admit, I've been top watering my starts this year because I just don't have time to bottom water. Last year I mostly did bottom watering, but it's very time consuming. So I've just been watering from the top and everything seems to be doing okay from that. I haven't noticed any issues doing it that way, but everything is looking really good so far this season. Not sure if you can see that, but it's currently 76 degrees in here Fahrenheit and humidity is 55%. So that is a pretty good temperature for the grow room. I don't have the heat mat set up right now. I think it's warm enough to do without them. I did have them going on the peppers probably, I think last month, but I think they're all good and warm enough. So I've got all of the heat mats off. And I don't have any particular brand that I like. You can see I've got a pile of heat mats over here, and I think every single one of them is a different brand. I just highly recommend you get a thermostat to control the heat of your heat mat if you get one, because they can get really hot and they will fry your seedlings if you're not careful. I could probably spend all day telling you about all the different seed starting trays that I have. I've got so many different kinds, but I'm just going to show you which ones I use the most often. So probably these 4-cell trays, like I have the zinnias in here. These are probably my most used seed starting trays. I just get those on Amazon. I think Greenhouse Megastore might also have them if you need something in bulk. I also use the 6-cell trays. So I've got these flimsy ones. I've also got some more sturdy ones. I've got a few different ones of those. Let's see if we can find some over here. Yeah, so I think these are pretty much the same size as the flimsy ones, but these ones are made by Epic Gardening, and they do help with root boundness. You can see they've got these slits here, so that helps root prune the start so they don't get root bound. And they've got pretty open bottoms as well. But I find these really helpful. But if I am selling my starts, I obviously don't want to sell them in these. So if I know I'm going to be transplanting them later, I'll use these. And let's see, I'm sure I know I've used a few of them. I'm not sure where they're at, but they're in here somewhere. But for the most part, you can see all of these 4-cell trays. I've got tons of them, and 6-cell trays back there. I also use these larger This one only has 4 cells, but it was a 6-cell tray until I cut it in half. But it's one that I use quite a bit for starting my seeds, and then I'll transplant them later. But I've only got a few of those in use right now. The peppers are actually currently in those trays. So I like these big, large cell 6 cells. And these I get on Amazon. I'll put a link to those in the description of the video. But these are probably my second most used seed starting trays. Very, very useful. And let's see, what else do we have? Let me just show you which ones I have down here. So this is my stash of seed starting trays. I also use these 3-cell trays fairly often, and those are mostly for starting seeds. If I've got 3 varieties of something, I'll put 1 variety in each, and then once they germinate, I'll separate them out. Let's see what else. Here's those big 6-cell trays. I've also got, let's see. These are my favorite for peppers. So these are 3.5 inch, but they're really tall. These ones I got from Greenhouse Mega Store, and I buy those in bulk, but those are the perfect size for peppers. I've also got, I don't really use these at all, but these are like really big. I don't know, they might be 4.5, but I don't really use those for anything, so I'm not sure why I have those. And then I don't have any down here, but I will be transplanting my tomatoes and some other starts in these 3.5 inch containers. So I got these in bulk from Greenhouse Mega Store. And see, I've got a whole case of them here that I bought last year. So I'm going to be using these a lot. So actually, these might be the, I don't know, second most used trays probably. A lot of stuff will get potted into those. And then also in the single cell trays, I also use these 2.5 inch containers quite a bit. So these are used for mostly for flowers, flower starts. I'll probably put the basil in this size tray when I sell them. So I've got quite a bit of those. I also have some Never Sink Farm trays, which I think work pretty good as well. These are for also do root pruning like the Epic Gardening trays. But the only thing I don't really like about these is these little squares in between the cells. That's just for air, and there's nothing that you can grow in there. So it's a little bit of wasted space, but I still use them occasionally. We've got our humidity domes. I got those from Greenhouse Mega Store. I've also got this tall humidity dome from Epic Gardening, but unfortunately, he does not sell these anymore. This is my favorite humidity dome for seed starting, but I'm trying to talk him into getting those again, but I've only got one of those. And then as far as 1020 trays, I've got a whole bunch of different ones. I've got the Never Sink Farm ones, and unfortunately, the Never Sink Farm ones are a little bit bigger than your standard 1020 tray. And then I've got, let's see, I have some Epic Gardening ones. Let's see, I think that's the one here. So the Epic Gardening ones, they're smooth on the bottom. Normally a lot of the 1020 trays have these lines or this kind of grid pattern on the bottom, but the Epic Gardening ones are totally smooth. So it makes cleaning them way easier. I've also got the Greenhouse Mega Store trays. I think that's this one here. I got a bunch of bulk. They're kind of flimsy, but not as flimsy as some of the other ones. Another really great 1020 tray is the ones by Bootstrap Farmer. They're super sturdy like the Epic Gardening ones. They are taller, about, I don't know, probably maybe an inch taller than the Epic Gardening trays, which I kind of like. But these are super sturdy, so those will gonna last a lifetime. But I've got several of those, maybe 10, and I think I have maybe 5 of the Epic Gardening ones. And I have a whole stack of trays here, you can see, and I will probably use every single one of these in my plant sale. I still have a lot of starts to pot up into bigger containers, and that takes up a lot of space. One more thing I wanted to show you is my grow tent setup. And I did a full grow tent video last year if you want to see it in more detail, but this is an AC Infinity tent, and it's got some controls here on the top right, and that just controls the fans inside the tent based on the temperature and humidity. So once it raises to too high of a humidity or temperature, it'll trigger the fans to go on. So I've got an oscillating fan here by AC Infinity and an AC Infinity duct fan up here also that pushes air outside of the tent. We've got a Mars Hydro TSL 2000, I believe, and I just got this tent set up for the season. The only thing I put in here are the peppers. So I've got one tray of peppers in here so far, and as I pot them up into these large 3.5-inch containers that I showed you before, they will get put here. But most of the peppers are still in those 6L trays. So those are the only ones I've repotted so far. But probably in the next week or two, the rest of them will go in here and this will be completely full of peppers. I hope you enjoyed seeing all the things that I use in my grow room and for seed starting. I think it's interesting to see what other people use in their grow rooms. If you have any suggestions of things I might want to try, let me know. And if you have any questions about any of the products that I showed today, let me know as well in the comments. Be sure to check out the description of the video because I'll have links to hopefully all the products that I went over today, and I'll also have some discount codes for you. Epic Gardening and Ivy Organic discount codes are for my affiliate program, so I do get some kickback from any purchases you use my discount code on. And I also have a discount code for Mars Hydro, but I'm not an affiliate. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.